Hello, and a welcome to another episode of Shou Talks. Today, we are going to discuss being a parent to your parent. And honestly, I thought of this subject this morning purely out of frustration. And for those of you who don't know, I am a caretaker to my mom, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's about 3 years ago. So she does live with me. I do take care of her. I don't want to say that I manage her life, but I've become her parent. I've stepped into that parenting role. So of course you have people who are in, my position where they have a sick parent and they have to step up because their parent just can't do it by themselves. And then you have other people who have to step in to the parenting role to their parent because their parent is just irresponsible. There are a lot of people who had to grow up with dealing with parents who had substance abuse issues. Of course, we see it on TV. Not many people talk about it out of embarrassment. But at the end of the day, it's still a reality that a lot of us go through. And, it can come off as very much unfair to the fact that you're sacrificing your life, your social events to become a parent when it's not something you signed up to do. Now, disclaimer, I do not regret any decision that I've made in respects to taking care of my mother. This is someone who gave me life and raised me in a way that I will forever be thankful to her for. But it gets hard. For instance, this morning I had the day off and I went for my usual morning walk with my group of friends. And all I could think about was, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to go home and take a nap, because I usually get back in the house a little before 8 a.m. on a regular basis. I don't wake up Mama Baton until about 10:30 to give her shower, give her breakfast, give her medication, and then I can come back to work, seeing as everybody's working from home. But today, y'all, I got home and she was asleep. So, I cleaned up, laid down for a little bit, and I have a camera in her room and it's censored, motion censored. So anytime she moves, I get an alert. So I just kept the camera on just so that I can just keep an eye on her, because she does tend to, hustle and bustle around in her room. And the minute I closed my eyes, I kid you not, I heard movement. And there she was, standing up in her room, going through different bags and searching for stuff. And I was just like, why? I just wanted to take a nap. Like, I was just looking forward to having this 2-hour nap that now I can't have. So I gotta sit here and I gotta commend parents with toddlers who, when they tell you, oh, you're having a baby? Yeah, so you can say goodbye to going to sleep when you want to. You sleep when they sleep. And that's what I was trying to do today, and she wouldn't give it to me. So I kind of went through the intercom and told her, hey, get back to bed. It's not time for you to wake up yet. Let's just go back to sleep. So it took her a little bit, but she laid back down, and I once again attempted to close my eyes and take a nap. And then I heard movement, and then I heard talking, and I'm like, who could she be speaking to at 8 o'clock in the morning? So I open my eyes and I look in the camera, and she's having a full-blown conversation with the iPad that is playing music for her. So I do music therapy for Mama Baton, and during the day she is listening to every hot, fiery tune there is. She's listening to soca, compa, a little bit of hip hop, but not too much. But she's more so into the soca. Mama Baton loves to dance. As you can see, those of you who know me, that's where I get it from. So she's talking to the iPad, and she thinks that, it's a person in the iPad that's playing music for her. And then she gets up, and I'm like, oh, we were so close. Please go back to bed. Please go back to bed. And finally, I was like, you know what? She's not going to go to sleep. So I was like, never mind. Never mind this nap. I guess I don't need it. I will get up. We took a shower. we are currently eating breakfast. I mean, I keep going upstairs to check on her, and she just keeps telling me that she is eating, although her plate isn't getting much smaller. But see, these are the things that I'm talking about. These are, and when people speak to me about their struggles as parenting, a lot of the times they don't expect me to relate. And I'm always like, yeah, I know the feeling. I struggle with getting her to eat. I struggle with getting her to wake up. I have to physically bathe her because these are all things that she cannot do on her own. But honestly, it's been a journey with no regrets. I can give you a little bit of a backstory of how we got here. So outside of Alzheimer's, Mama Baton also has renal kidney failure. She had a transplant a little over 20 years ago. She's diabetic. She has high blood pressure. She has Paget's disease. I'm telling you, this woman's rap sheet is like almost as long as Whitey Bulger's. Like, it's just, you sit back and you're just like, how did this happen? And part of it is just, when you're younger, you never really think to be healthy. You know what I mean? You always tell yourself, oh, I got time. I can eat 12 bags of chips at 22 years old, not really thinking how it's going to affect you when you hit 50. Or I can sit here and chase down this fifth of Henny and not really understand the effects alcohol has, or, the effects what alcohol does to your body. And these are all things that we start to realize when it's like you're 55, 60 years old and it's too late. And you're just like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have, had 15 shots every weekend in college. Maybe I should have diluted some stuff with some water. Water is not the devil. You need a little sip every once in a while. Let's stay hydrated. But so how did we get here? How did I, the middle of three, end up being the caretaker for my mom? And to be honest, I don't know. It's not necessarily something where you pull straws or you guys vote. It just kind of happened. It started back in high school. Like, I could remember if I ever missed a day of school, it was never on my own accord. It was never anything that had to do with me. It was either, she was going to the hospital and I'm just not going to let my mother go to the hospital by herself. So I was very attached to her at a young age, and it kind of just carried forth. So back in the late 90s, Mama Baton was diagnosed with renal failure. Both her kidneys actually stopped working, and she was put on dialysis. And I can remember, her having to hook herself up to a machine that washed out, well, pretty much the machine functioned as what the kidneys would do. And for my understanding, and don't judge me if it's wrong, I believe your kidneys kind of filter out all of the toxins that are in your body. So this machine, her dialysis machine, was actually what stepped in at night and would flush out the toxins, seeing as her kidneys were no longer able to do so. She was on dialysis for about 5 years. I could remember waking up in the middle of the night because her machine is going off because there's like some type of clot within the tubes of the machine, and it wasn't functioning properly. And Mama Baton, whose first language is Haitian Creole, kind of just never knew what to do with the machine. And so I would jump in and either switch the tubes or figure out what's going on. And there were actually a few times where we would have to go to the hospital because there would be blood in her tubes. So we got the transplant in 2003, and thank God the kidney is still functioning well. Her body has not rejected it. We are approaching 20 years. Yeah, if she had in 2003. So 2023 will be 20 years since her transplant. And we are doing well. So fast forward to about 3 years ago. Now, this was back in my prime, y'all. I used to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, go to the gym, work out at Crunch for about an hour, get back home by 6, take a shower, go to work. This particular morning, I believe it was early February, I was getting up. I was going to the gym, and what's funny is now that I think about it, I don't even think I heard her fall, but I sleep in a finished basement, and I remember going up the stairs and I opened the door and I'm walking out. So to walk out of my house, you gotta go through the kitchen, and it's 4:30 in the morning. So it's complete pitch black in my kitchen. Like you can't even see your hand in front of you, but there was a little bit of a light from the oven timer. And so I just saw something that was laid out on the floor that looked like piles of garbage bags, right? Oh, no shade to my mama. I don't mean to say that she looks like a garbage bag, but it was just a mountain, a little mini mountain that I saw on the floor, pitch black. So when I went to turn the light on and I saw that it was my mom laid out on the kitchen floor, and I stayed calm for some time. Like I've come to realize that I'm always calm and then I freak out. Like I'm either super calm or I freak out. I think when something is super serious, I become very calm and very serious, and it's like, what needs to happen? Let's get it done. And that was my take on that. Long story short, it was actually the day after a blizzard. So I remember we had to call 911. They came, they took us. We were in the ER for over 20 hours until they were able to find a room, because let's keep in mind there was a blizzard the day before, so a lot of people who were supposed to be discharged were not discharged. So they were just waiting for people to get a bed so they can put her in it. They did not an MRI, they scanned her heart just to make sure it wasn't a heart attack or a stroke that she had. She did come, she was conscious again, but when I found her, she was not conscious. She was breathing, but not conscious. And, they did a lot of tests. They didn't find any signs of a stroke. It was not a heart attack. It was nothing cardiac. And the doctor kept asking us, where did you find her? What happened? The whole spiel. And she kept telling them she was in the bathroom. She was going to the bathroom. And I'm telling her, nah, I found you in the kitchen. And she's like, no, I was in the bathroom. And I'm like, you were in the kitchen. So without being able to get the proper information, the doctors, of course, were kind of like, what's going on? And one of the doctors told me that they wanted to see if she can get tested, for dementia. And I was like, I'm with it, because I've been noticing things, but I always just assumed it was old age. Of course, I think a lot of us go through denial, especially when it comes to our parents. We don't want to ever think that something's wrong with them or that we're going to lose them soon. So I held on to, she's just getting old. That's why she's not remembering things. She's just getting old. That's why she's confused. It's old age. It happens to everybody. So we had the appointment with the neurologist, and at that moment, she said, your mother has dementia. Now, I knew this. I knew something wasn't right. I felt it. But for some strange reason, hearing it come out of the doctor's mouth hurt my heart, because I was like, oh, it just got real. Like, this is not no simple fix, and this is not something where it can just, I have to change the whole schedule. Like, there's so many other precautions that are going to need to take place, and I don't know what I'm doing. I just turned 30. Yep, I had just turned 30. I'm like, yeah, I'm living my life in my 30s. Can't nobody tell me nothing. And then you find out that your mom is diagnosed with dementia and you are her caretaker, and you have to bear the responsibility of that. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking, you have siblings. There's no reason why you should have to bear the responsibility on your own. But let's be honest. It's never really split evenly. It's not possible. People try. It's easy to say, I'm going to be there for you. Just tell me what you need done. But the reality of it is when there is more than one child, there's always one child that takes more responsibility than the other ones. So I took that role. I don't regret it at all. I'm very OCD. I'm very structured. So I think that actually helps with, the care of, Mama Baton. But I will say it is a tough journey, and I am extremely thankful for the support system that I have. I have amazing friends that are constantly sending me resources and information. I have one particular friend who is sort of my coach when it comes to taking care of Mama Baton, as she also took care of her mom to the end. And, we exchange stories. And what I appreciate the most about her is the open space to just vent. I will call and we can share stories, but she lets me vent about all the frustrating things that I go through without feeling guilty. Because I'll say this, it's like you're dealing with somebody who will frustrate you, but then they don't remember that they just frustrated you. So it's like she'll say something, or I'll be a punching bag, and then 2 minutes later she wants to laugh and tell a joke, and I have to let go of my anger because she has no idea that we just had an argument 10 minutes ago. And that is one of the hardest things that I feel like I'm dealing with. But what I will say is I'm very thankful that she's still smiling. I'm very thankful that she is still dancing. I will take her pickiness over, I've heard that a lot of times they get violent. And, I pray that I don't see that just yet. So the other being a parent to a parent that I mentioned was, when you're dealing with a parent who is irresponsible or doesn't necessarily see that they need to be a parent, it happens a lot with young parents, people who have children at a young age and don't necessarily want to take that responsibility. Now, I will say the disclaimer that I do not have children outside of my 71-year-old mother. I did not have the, I don't want to say the struggle or the burden, because I feel like your children shouldn't be classified as a struggle or a burden. They don't choose to be here. This is a decision that you made to keep them. So I feel like parents who make their children feel like they're burdens should really think twice. Mostly because when your child grows up and becomes an adult, all of that anger that you put out on them for being around and, I guess, stunting on your, clout or whatever you guys want to call it, that all comes back. A lot of times people think kids don't know, or, they're just a kid and I'm the adult and you're going to do what I say because I said it and I'm your mom or I'm your dad and I know best. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. And this is only going to end one way. A lot of us watch enough TV to know how this is going to end. Your child is either going to hate you and want to be nothing like you and want nothing to do with you, or they are going to end up just like you. It's up to you to decide which of the two evils are you willing to deal with. I feel like a lot of people have children and don't realize they were never ready for this task. Like I got tasked with, dealing with my mom, and I can't say that I was ready for it, but I know that if I was to have kids right now, on a mental level, I feel like I would be a lot more ready than if I was in my 20s. Now, no shade to people who have kids early. Everybody has to learn in their own way. I believe that everything in life is a learning experience, especially having children, especially starting a family. These are all things that you learn. No one can prepare you for it. No one can guide you through it. It's all stuff that you learn firsthand and through trial and error. One thing I will say that I sincerely appreciate about taking the responsibility of Mama Baton and being her caretaker, it has really showed me to value life, value what you have, value what is around you and stop looking for things that have no substance. A lot of people try to fill a void or overcompensate for things because they're still trying to figure out what life means to them. They're still trying to find some type of validation. And I've come to realize in taking care of my mom that you are all the validation that you need. I don't need to go out and buy the latest, I shouldn't say the latest iPhone because I have the latest iPhone, but in my defense, it's because I needed to be able to see and my old phone just was too small. But I don't feel the need to have to keep up with society. I don't feel the need to have to keep up with what the world is expecting me to do, what the world is expecting me to have, say, all of that. I am okay with being who I am, doing what I want, and moving as fit. It's not a race. So I feel like one of my biggest challenges in taking care of someone with Alzheimer's is predominantly the fact that I have an A-type personality where I'm all about order and structure and agendas and following instructions, and you can't do that on a day-to-day basis. You don't know what you're going to wake up to. You don't know what you're walking into. I don't know what her mood is going to be like when I walk into her bedroom. I don't know what mood she's going to be in when I wake her up, when it's time for dinner. It's kind of just a go with the flow mentality that you have to have because you just never know what to expect. And if you try to set an expectation, you have to be okay with changing that expectation or the possibility of it not coming to life. So I would say that's one of my biggest challenges. And just the fact that, you got to go from being the child to being a parent really quickly, and I want to say one of the biggest things, I have a friend who is a psychologist, and she helped me realize that as frustrated as I am and that I need to also understand that she gets frustrated too. She is in a position where she went from, being mom and, being the leader and the caretaker and the provider to now being told what to do and, being taken care of, and she can't provide for herself or her children in ways that she used to in the past. So I think when I finally sat back and realized that this is a situation that she's dealing with on her end, it taught me to be more appreciative of the fact that I do still have my mom. Now, she's not the same mom. And it reminds me of an amazing poem that a former coworker gave me called Two Moms. And it just speaks to the fact that, she isn't who she was before, but she's still my mom. So yeah, like I said, I came up with this topic because, I was really frustrated this morning with wanting to take a nap and not being able to take one. And then it went from, getting dressed to I gave her breakfast and it took her almost an hour to eat it. And it was mostly because she didn't want to eat it. To now, having to go upstairs and tell her, hey, it's time for a nap. You ate, let's lay down, let's, unwind. Because you were up super early today. You were up 2 hours earlier than usual. And she, came back to me and said, who's downstairs with you? And I'm like, nobody. And there was just a really big moment of confusion all of 10 minutes ago. And it's something that she's not going to remember. And it's something that I'm not going to understand. Right now, she's more so in the state where she doesn't know why she can't remember. She doesn't know why she doesn't understand. And it's frustrating to her. And I can only imagine because I don't like understanding things on a regular basis. And I do not suffer from dementia. So I can imagine, not remembering what is frustrating you. But like I said, I do want to thank you guys for rocking out with me today, listening to me talk about being a parent to your parent. You know, like I said, these talks are going to more so be about what's on my mind, what's on my heart. You know, and the whole point of Shou Talks is to discuss my experiences. Hopefully I can reach out to somebody who is also going through what I'm going through, or somebody who went through what I went through and has some type of advice to share. I feel one thing we fail to realize in life is that we are all resources. I can always learn from somebody else, and I can always teach somebody something. So I never want to let go of an opportunity to learn or to be a teacher. So if anybody is dealing, with having to be a parent to your sick parent, I'm more than happy to hear what you have to say. If you'd like to come on the show, I'd be happy to have you, and we can just chop it up and, exchange stories, exchange experiences. It's easy to laugh about it now, but when you're going through it, it's hard. I've had to sit back and tell myself that I'm being a little too hard on myself for wanting a chance to breathe, or wanting to travel, or wanting to go out. I used to always say, no, I can't do this because I need to be a daughter and I need to be with her, and I can't just leave her hanging because she needs me. And I think now I'm more so in the state of mind where I'm accepting the help that's given to me, and I'm allowing myself to live as well as be a caretaker. So, like I said, I just want to thank everybody for rocking out with me. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next episode of Shou Talks. Remember, it's my life, my story. Can't nobody tell it better than I can. Peace.